Even in Bourne, he's like, who am I? It's like, this is a combination of all
mentally lost. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host, who is across the pond. It is DL, everybody. How are you, mate?
Amazing.
And
in a world of where magic apparently does not exist.
But it kind of does.
But it does.
It does, but it doesn't.
Am I making that up? Was that the title screen of like this movie? Did I miss something before that? Because I like went to the bathroom and it was like starting, and I just remember it being like, in an age where magic apparently exists or something. It was something weird like that. Like,
Did it? I was so engrossed. I totally missed that. Is that really bad? You know what's we're getting way ahead of ourselves talking about the Odyssey, obviously.
Yeah.
I was terrified that the Nolan sound thing was going to be a problem. So in the theater we were in, the sound was really tinny for the trailers leading up to it, and it was really oddly distributed around the cinema. And I was sat there, I was like, holy shit, this is going to be another Tenet. This is going to be really bad.
yeah.
So I kind of, I zoned out a little bit for that first bit.
You know what's funny is like I literally thought about that, and then there was like multiple showings of, and it's already hard enough for my wife who's like second language is English.
Yeah, right.
When there's no when there's no subtitles, let alone a Christopher Nolan no subtitle movie. There was an option. Yeah, she wouldn't understand anything. I mean, regardless of the plot.
Not a word.
There was a option for one of the showings at our theater that had closed caption. And you like selected it as you bought the ticket. And I was like, this is a no-brainer for a Nolan movie. Bought that one and had closed captioning the entire time. It was actually pretty sick.
Damn, I need that in my life. I mean, that is the ultimate Chris Nolan experience. Like, because most of the time it's people, it's American or English people mumbling on screen, and then a sound going. Yeah.
Which means like I figured out who Athena was rather rapidly because it said Athena.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I don't know if that was like meant to be a spoil. I mean, I guess like they do explain it pretty early on, but like it was very clear to me.
Look, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, and I haven't even asked you how you are, mate. How are you?
Mate, I'm good. I'm tired. I'm working hard, trying to stay sane, but I'm glad that I have things like the Odyssey to break up the day, because I frankly, I really enjoyed this one, so it was good.
I mean, yeah, I just can't wait to talk about it. I mean, like, there's good and there's bad, but like, I think in total, I mean, spoilers, guys. It's a good film. It's a good film. That's the new Chris Nolan version.
It's long, but I mean, you knew that going in.
So we were talking about this, and look, we're talking about the movie already, but like we were talking about the cinema experience. So like here in Sydney, the IMAX has been booked out for months. Like you literally can't get a ticket unless you want to sit and stare at like under Robert Pattinson's nose the whole time. Like,
like his nose hairs.
Yeah, literally. And yeah, you would be able to see literally every booger. It'd be weird as hell. Or you could, if you wanted to watch in 75mm, we could have gone to my favorite cinema that we've talked about a bunch of times in Randwick, the Ritz, which is phenomenal. I love that place. It smells like a memory. I can't say it any other way. It smells like, when you're a kid and you go to the cinema and it's like the carpets smell like popcorn and the seats. The reason we didn't do that one is because of the seats, because they're a bit shit now. Like, I don't know if they were like that when you were here, but we went and watched Frankenstein there because they do Netflix releases, and I couldn't have sat for 3 hours in no seats. I mean, tell me you're nearly 40 without telling me you're nearly 40, right? Like,
I thought they were comfy though.
Oh, the one we.
I don't remember them being shitty.
Awful. They were bad, man. I remember I couldn't sit through 3 hours of this. But yeah, I'm good too, mate. Thanks for asking. I appreciate you asking. But like, have we already talked about Tassie? Have we talked about that already? Did I tell you I've been to Tassie?
I think you did tell me a bit about that, but I don't remember if that was just us catching up as mates or what. But
because we do that, we do have conversations outside of this podcast. I don't believe it sometimes. Dude, Tassie was sick. Have you ever been? Yeah,
I have been. It was pretty cool. We drove all the way around and did some whiskey and did some oysters and did some nature with the wife and fam.
You've literally just said Tassie. Like, that's it. You drive around a bit, you do some whiskey, you do some oysters. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's all right, it's pretty good.
Saw some little animals. on an island.
Yes.
Oh no, that's different.
We saw
That's
those
different.
animals. No, you're thinking about Quokkas.
I was thinking
no,
of Rottnest
that's different.
Island. Yeah.
But you do see lots of
Also-
animals over there. Lots. And fucking loads of roadkill. Like, a surprising amount of roadkill. We ended up, and like, this is morbid as hell, but we ended up playing like who can spot the roadkill first, because we were going so delirious on one car drive, and we kind of got lost in the middle. Didn't get lost, it's like 3 roads, but we were kind of going away, and we were like, are we going the right way? Because we were going to a vineyard in the middle of nowhere, and we were Delulu playing spot the roadkill. It was mad, and there were so many. It ended up like in half an hour it was like 20 all. I'm like, how is that possible?
Bloodbath.
Yeah.
No,
Glad we got that
they
extra
are
insurance
attracted
for
to the
car.
heat of the road in the night, and then they can't see shit, and you can't see them, and you just hit them. It's an unfortunate catch-22. You know, they're warm, but
It was
they die.
technically winter. Warm, but they die.
I mean, yeah, it makes it even more like the sun hits the road, and like the asphalt holds it through the night, and so when it's coldest, they go and try and find some little bit of warmth through the asphalt, and that's
Little bit of nugget.
that's all she wrote. Yeah.
Poor little wildlife. That's such a shame. Have you been away somewhere? I'm sure I saw on your gram you'd been away somewhere.
Yeah, no, we've been in London mostly. We didn't really. Oh yeah, we did go to. Was it Cambridge? A little punting.
Cambridge, beautiful.
Cambridge on the boat. We did that.
Oh, because you went to a gig, didn't you? You went to see a niche indie band from the UK.
We saw. I don't know if they're niche, but they definitely. We saw the Kooks. They're. What I'll say about the Kooks is, they were always almost a cool band. They always were almost like. They had like every album had a couple songs where like if you just like made your sound this and cared less about topping the charts, you'd be a really cool band. There was always like 2 or 3 songs on each album that had that vibe, and I just always wish that they like reached that full potential, but they never really could get out of their own glamorous poppy ways.
That first album, man, was fire. Inside In, Inside Out with Naive. She moves in her own way, dude. If they'd have just stuck to that Naive sound, they would have been fire.
I mean, and other albums have like bits of that with progression, but never did they give up like the cheeky little pop songs that kind of are super simple and a bit repetitive.
Cheeky little
and
pop
so like
songs,
half
half
of every album is like that, and it's just like not, you know, they're kind of just filler. And then you'll have like a song like Sway on their second album, which is like just probably one of their best songs, I think. Or like I think their Listen Out album is really, really good. And that's probably like front to back the best one I like outside of their first album.
For a band I grew up with, you know way more about them than I do. I clearly dropped off after that first album.
I actually quite I like always wanted them to like channel their like, they had like certain songs had like a Beatles energy. And I was like, I would always like want them to like go channel that, go get weirder, and they never really would, you know, and that was like my disappointment in them.
Fair. Yeah. That sucks when it happens, especially when you can see the potential there. They came out of like a pop school or whatever it's called. So in the UK, there's like a really famous like school, like Adele came out of it. Like so many famous people came out of it. And I feel like I feel like they have to adhere to certain things, which kind of sucks. But cool, you saw them though. Were they good live?
They are good live, no doubt. The guys can sing and play.
I have seen them live.
They're a bit very into themselves, like at least the singer is. So it's a bit like cringe at times.
I heard that. I heard he was a bit of a prick.
I don't know if he's a prick, but he just, you know, he's just a bit of a like, all right, dude, like take yourself less seriously. But I'll say this, like, you know, going and seeing them live, you get to, because they only have like X amount of songs I like per album that, you know, most of their fans also like. I saw pretty much all the songs I wanted to see.
So you want?
Yeah.
That's what you want. I'm saying were they good live? I have seen them live. I saw them, God, maybe 15 years ago. I went to, and this is a random story. I don't know why. I'll stop elaborating a minute. I went to see The Killers in Hyde Park in London. They did. I don't know if they still do it. They did a thing called Hyde Park Calling, and it's like it used to be 3 nights, and they would have different rock bands on. And The Killers did, and they were supported by the Kooks. And I remember the Kooks being like, yeah, I'll take it or leave it. But the Killers were phenomenal. But the reason why it's an interesting story is because the night after, Bon Jovi was playing, a band that, by the way, I'm a little obsessed with. I love Bon Jovi. Phenomenal. It's in that 80s hair rock region that I just love. Can't get away from it. It's great. And that's why I love James Gunn movies and such, because it really brings that vibe. But we actually went, so we were just going to sit outside, because Hyde Park's huge, obviously, and we were going to sit outside and just listen from a distance. I was there with my brother, God love him, and we like, what, we were walking literally around the side so we could stand at the back and listen. And some lady just runs up to us and she's like, "Hey, do you like Bon Jovi?" And we're both like, "Yeah, obviously." She's like, "Oh, do you want to see him?" And we were like, "Yeah. What's the catch?" She was like, "Oh, nothing. Me and my husband just live around the corner and we can't be bothered going anymore." And we were like, "What?" And she literally just walked off, and we were like walking after her, being like, "Do you want money?" And she's like, "Nah, it's all right. Take it. Enjoy yourself." I was like, "This is the fucking dream." So I saw Bon Jovi in their absolute prime, like, for free. It was the bomb.
Nice. Bon Jovi, man. I would have never taken you for hair metal. But yeah, that's amazing.
I love hair metal. All of it. I have a hair metal
Scorpions
playlist on Spotify. Yes, sir. You name it. I love it. I love all the cheesy shit as well, like Eurasia. I'll listen to it all. I'm all elements of hair rock. I'm in. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Boy. That should be the theme of our podcast. We're in. Guys, quick shout out to Ava. Thank you so much for editing this episode and also doing the time codes. So if you guys want to skip around, you want to listen to us chat shit about Bon Jovi for whatever reason, feel free. You can stick around. But if you want to just get to the main topic, you want to hear us talk about the Odyssey, which we are going to be talking about, which we're very excited. I'm very excited to talk about. I don't know about yourself. You can do that. You can do that right now. It's down there. And while you're in those comments and such, please give us a 5-star review. Helps the podcast. We'd love it if you would. Stick around. We might even earn it by not actually reviewing a movie and just talking shit. DL, what have you been up to, buddy?
Oh, man, what have I been doing? I've been rewatching Deadwood because I love it, and I think it's like one of the best written shows ever. And it like inspires me in how to think about like characters and arcs and stuff, and like the personal behind the stuff, like how do you craft a character that like is really well thought out in terms of like their goals, what drives them, and how they respond to the world around them. And the writing is just phenomenal.
I'm real surprised you went with that rather than the World Cup. Like, I know we're not a sports podcast, but last time you dove directly into the World Cup, and I was like,
I've been watching the World Cup. I mean, it was kind of a shitty final, to be honest.
Dire.
The last part was exciting, but just a classic Spain match, really. Like, just control the ball. The only interesting time is when they're actually shooting, because it's like obviously really beautiful, but then the other 70 minutes are like them just passing around, like maintaining possession. I mean, so classic Spain.
Yeah. I was happy they won. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched the World Cup final yet. 3 days ago. I really enjoyed the final, actually. I really wanted to see Argentina lose, but I was conflicted because I was in a sweepstake when I had Argentina to win. So I was like, oh, I really want them to lose, but at the same time, I kind of want money. But I won a little bit.
Why did you want them to lose? Because they beat the UK. So
British and Argentinians, we go way back. It's not a new conflict. Yeah, all that stuff. But I mean, just soccer in general. God, who am I? Football in general. We've always had a dislike for each other. It's kind of the very South American, the quintessential South American style versus the quintessential British gentleman style. Very different. And I think that sort of differentiation is what makes us so heated as rivals. All the other history stuff helps as well, between the two of us, the Falklands and such. But yeah, I think it's a lot about the football as well.
I was like keen on Messi winning one, or the second one to like I meant the second one to like close out his career. But also, like, I didn't realize how many people hate Messi. And I like
really?
A lot of people don't like him. And I grew up watching him. I also like studied in Barca when he was peak Barca with him versus like Madrid and Clasico. So like, just really, really enjoy watching him, and like it's so crazy how he's still additive to the team as compared to Ronaldo and in this World Cup. But there were some things in that World Cup that like he was really cheeky. Like where I was like, dude,
corruption.
I don't even know if it was corruption. It's just like if you're the face of the game, like you should not be doing that. So there was like a point of like where they were like arguing about something, and did you see that point where he like clearly was like trying to goad the one dude to like say something, says something,
That's
then
what
he like
I'm saying.
He's like,
that's what I'm saying. It's the dark arts, man. It doesn't jibe with me. And then did you see after the final, all the Argentinian players were like, and I'm going to quote a friend of mine who said this day, have a biff with the Spanish players? I was like, dude, they were like fighting them. They were literally fighting after the whistle.
It's bit like chirpy. Yeah, those guys are
sore losers. So Deadwood, sorry I interrupted you. You really enjoyed it.
No, beautiful. I've been watching that. I've been watching
now?
the World Cup. This is my second time, I believe.
Yeah, okay. Should I watch it? Should I get into Deadwood? Is that a thing I should give a go to?
I think that if you haven't seen Deadwood, and you like enjoy prestige like TV, you're missing out on one of the like best prestige TV. And even if like I would argue, even if westerns aren't your thing, this is one that's like worth watching. If they are your thing, then you're missing out on like I would argue the best western ever made. Honestly,
it's interesting because I feel like I do kind of want to watch it, and you've mentioned it so many times. I'm genuinely interested, and I think I could probably get the partner to watch it because she's obsessed with that Yellowstone show and all the spin-offs and the Dutton Ranches and all that garbage. So I think I could probably get her to watch it. I feel like it's a thing.
It's less candy as that. Like that's like quality, but not like I would argue like a little bit more. Like mainstream, where this is like a little bit more true to the genre. But
oh, I see. Sorry, Dutton Ranches. Yeah. No, I just mean like I think that could be her gateway drug. I could just be
totally. Like, that's what I'm saying.
You like westerns?
Yeah, she can be tricked into watching this. But the guy writes in a like what you start to realize that like there's like a rhythm to all the dialogue, and I'm like, why does this feel almost like a play sometimes?
Interesting.
And you're like, then I found out after like halfway through the first time watching it, that it's written in Aramic pentameter or whatever, like with the way Shakespeare writes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So it's like written in a particular like way such that it should have a feel, a rhythm to it. And once you like feel it, you can't really unfeel it. Like you're like, holy crap, this is just like so insane. How good this guy is, this writer.
Now I need to watch that and listen to it. Like I've never watched a show that's had that, or known I have.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Anyway, it's a good show and some of the best acting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you recommend? Excellent. I'll try and convince the old partner to give it a go. We actually watched a thing I would recommend to your partner. Interestingly, if she doesn't know already, which I assume she would. There is a guy called, and I'm going to butcher his second name, Jeff Arcuri. Arcuri? I don't know how you say his name. I remember during COVID, me and Gail used to send each other his like crowd work. He's a stand-up comedian, and he's just done a new Netflix special. And the reason it's interesting is because when you see him and you compare him to those original like reels and stuff on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, he looks totally different. Like a different human being. Not like he's had work done or anything, but like he's filled out, like he's got a bit of facial hair. It's just wild. Like he just looks so, and like I didn't actually recognize him, and he doesn't do as much. Yeah, a fair bit of crowd work in the Netflix special actually, but it's not quite as like pointed as it is in his like real stuff, as you would expect, because that stuff's created specifically for that purpose. But dude, honest to God, it's funny. There were points when I was literally barely laughing at it. It's very good. Like, but it also has like a touching message to it at points as well. I think his wife either has or had cancer, so he weaves that in, and how he makes a laugh, and how it's that really good, man. Like surprisingly, really funny.
Nice. I am excited to show the wifey. She's his biggest fan, so we've seen him live.
Yeah, of course you have. Yeah, of course. Because I was trying to think. So I obviously remember. I think Gail either messaged me or she had said you were going or on one of our text chains. So that's so good.
We went in Dublin, yeah, and we saw him. We did a Dublin trip like last year.
Amazing. Was he good? Was he good live? I wonder if it's the same show.
Yeah, I thought he was good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, this I was literally like barely laughing at this. That's how funny it was. Genuinely.
Yeah, better than the last guy we saw, which was God, who's the good-looking one? Matt Rife. His show
I heard
counts,
he's
man.
bad. Yeah, I think
He's
my
bad. I
fiance
think he's just
said-
overrated. He's just overrated.
Interesting. Well, he is like all about the crowd work. That's his vibe. Like I feel like when he steps out of that, it will be tough for him.
Yeah, totally agreed.
The good-looking one. Don't say that. Jesus Christ, Dre. You got a big head. He's a good-looking dude. He's in films. You know, actually, I noticed he makes a cameo in a Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode, like a later one. I was like, holy shit, what's he doing here?
Really?
Yeah, it's really random. I was
gotta
like,
rewatch that.
this-
Yeah.
It must be before he like kicked off famous. He must have been trying to be an actor first. So yeah, super interesting. Anything else you've been up to?
We've been watching Koh-Lanta with the wife, which is the survivor of
Koh-Lanta?
France.
Ooh,
Can't say I
okay.
recommend.
Okay.
But it's been taking up some time. I did rewatch The House of the Dragon in preparation for the new season, which I haven't started. So I did that.
Oh, okay.
And I realized
we're
like I do
watching-
actually it was a mediocre season. It wasn't great, wasn't bad, but it had really good moments. And I still enjoyed even like mediocre moments of that show in that world.
Okay. Oh, good. I mean, there's some. I think we've watched 4 of the 5 episodes that are out at the moment of the new show. There's some standout episodes. I would say I have decided that I don't like any of the characters, as in like I'm not invested in them. Like I don't have like and I think friend of the show Jacob said something very similar. Like I don't feel compelled by any of them and their writing and their arcs. I feel like it's a bit meandering, and I think I talked about this previously, and I think maybe you misrepresented me by saying that it was just because she wasn't hot anymore. But like, I really don't rate that new actor who's the main one. Like, so there's an episode that's just come out.
You were fawning over the other one, so I think it was more just
She's
an
great.
inference.
She's Supergirl now,
An
whatever
inference.
she is. What can I say? She's a good-looking girl. There's an episode. I think she mischaracterizes the character who she's playing in one of those episodes, and it really took me out of it. I was like, I don't want to ruin anything for you, but there's an episode, and I compared her to how Danny was presented in the first seasons in my brain, thinking about in the initial seasons. You think of Danny, she's early on, she's this like wallflower. She's, quiet. She's meek. She then evolves into this warrior, but who has these soft moments when she's around specific people. Whereas that actor just doesn't know how to do that. Like she just has the same emotion throughout the whole episode. And I'm like, no, you're meant to be this specific thing. Like, why are you acting? And it really took me out of it when I made that alignment. I was like, you're just not acting well. It's just not a good acting performance.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta see. I think it's like it's really hard to like judge. These aren't like really well established characters with like a big lore behind them. There's lore, sorry, a big like arc behind them, the same way that obviously Danny is, where you're like in her head for 5 books that are all like 1,000 pages. So it's like, it's definitely a harder adaptation, and I can appreciate that. The characters I tend to like think are interesting.
Yeah.
After how now having rewatched this show, is I'm really excited to see what happens with like the cripple guy who's the like old King Aegon. Yeah, because it's like, where does he and Lord Laris, like where does he go from here? Like that's just like interesting to explore. Like given like his arc is going to be like very different than what it was. I think Aemon as this like foil to Damon is interesting to examine. And like he's clearly on this self-destructive path, I would argue, but it's also like a path that is very, very tied to the lore of Targaryens, and like
totally.
Where he doesn't have a true family, he identifies with his lore of his family, and like what does that bring, right? As compared to Damon, who really did have a family that loved him and had the same thing, but was like being pulled towards this legend of the Targaryens and like pushed his family away, and then like has now kind of theoretically returned back after the last season. So I think that foil is quite interesting writing. And then I
just can't
really
wait to to fight. I'm like, fight every time on the screen. I'm like, fight.
You know it's happening. You know it's coming, right?
Oh man,
And then
I can't
like
wait.
Christian Cole is like just a very, very well acted, interesting shitter. You know, like so I love him.
I agree, Matt. That my problem with him is he's so underutilized. Like, and I hope that he's ramping up to something. And I think this is a problem with having
the first two seasons he was in it quite a lot.
Phenomenal, yeah, phenomenal. But I think he's being gradually underutilized. You'll see when you sort of get through. The problem I see with having so many big dragons and such big dragons is that they've sort of demoted some of the human characters who don't have a dragon, and he's one of them. And I think he's so good. Like, I'm surprised.
Well, I think that's what I'm going to find interesting about it is like they left him with like humans have no agency now. Like that he literally basically said that in a world of like nuclear bombs, like you and your pea shooter don't really matter. And I think like interesting to see how he reckons with his choices and at what he becomes. Maybe they don't explore it in that world. Another like interesting thing to explore. And then I think the other big one for me is unfortunately they just haven't, and I think the show's lesser for it. They haven't used the North much at all. And the North plays a pretty big role in a lot of conflicts. And maybe in the lore, I don't remember if they like played anything at all in this, and maybe they didn't. So that's like a missed opportunity, I'd say, from what I've seen, what I remember. And then I think the harder part that they're trying to thread is they introduce all these new characters that are like, you know, dragon riders and like side characters with the sea snake and all that. And I align with you there, where it's like I find them harder to really be super involved with and care about the outlet. I don't not like them. I'm just like, I
don't care for them personally.
Yeah, whatevs. They're not here or there, and
And they're not that well acted, 2 or 3 of them. I'm like, that feels like you could have done another pass at that acting choice, you know? Like, give it another go. I don't know. Maybe just me.
No, but so point being, I'm enjoying it enough, and I'm excited to see where those characters go. The main 2 characters, I'm like, oh, actually, what am I saying? The main guy that is the Green's father. Interested to see what happens with him. I forget the strategist, the old hand of the king, the dad. I forget his name.
What's she called? Hightower, something
Hightower. Yeah, he's his character arc is going to be really interesting. So invested in that,
Otto.
And Otto Hightower, and beyond that, we'll kind of see
as well. Like,
so I think I'm like 50% hit right there.
As an actor, he's in so many things. He's great. Yeah. Okay. I am going to say no more because I don't want to spoil anything for you. I want you to get in and watch it. It's all right. I think me and the partner have both sort of decided we'll watch it, but we're not like dying to watch it. Like, we'll get through when we get to it. You know what I mean? So like we're up to episode 5, I think.
It's like Civil War, right? Like eventually, like you're not really going to love either of the main characters. I think that's kind of the point. Like they've made a decision that is like unlikable. At its core, and so there's that element. The next phase of the Targaryen dynasty is actually, I find, a little more interesting because it's like the dragons are dying and their power is waning, and it's like a much more interesting investigate. And there's still some magic stuff that's happening that like. So I think the Tale of Duncan Egg, and there's another.
There's this season. There's and I don't know if she comes up in the second season. There's a lady in Harrenhal, like a witch or whatever in Harrenhal. He's really the only indication of magic outside of the dragons, and it's not that interesting. I actually
liked that stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean the magic. I mean in general, there being no magic. I think they could have explored it a bit more, make it a bit more interesting. The thing that I thought they might explore is the Maester angle. You know, in the Game of Thrones books, there's a load of like conspiracies about the Maesters and stuff. I'd like to see more about that.
That's another missed opportunity because they have a character that is the son that's there, and training to be a maester. So you're 100% right. Like there's clearly some areas that if they wanted to like stop having conversations that are like, what would you have me do?
Yeah. It's too much. That's a really good impression, by the way. Can you do that again? What would you have me do, Damon?
Yeah. It's like there's so much of that. It's like just cut some of that and introduce some other interesting parts of the lore, right?
I mean, there's so much extra they haven't done. Yeah, it's a bit like, look, I'm just giving my opinion. It's still disappointing, but like, keep watching it is what I'd say. Keep going, guys. If there's anything we haven't talked about that you recommend we watch, feel free to hit us up. You can get us in the comments. You get us on TikTok, get us on Instagram. We're Podcast Assemble on both, or you can email us. You can find us at thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We're everywhere. Hit us up. Like our content. Follow us. Things. All the things. DL, are we going to do spoilers and non-spoilers, or are we get non-spoilers and spoilers, or are we just going to go straight in because everyone knows what the Odyssey is?
I feel like maybe there's one thing at the end that I think we should probably not spoil that is different.
Okay. We're going to save one thing at the end.
Unless you care. I don't actually care, to be honest. If you want to go full non-spoilers, we can.
I mean, it's a 3,000-year-old poem. Like, surely people know what the Odyssey is by now.
No, I know, but the ending, he changed the ending.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's save one spoiler for the end. DL, let's talk about our main topic.
It's the main topic theme.
DL, do you have a stupid plot summary for this?
Matt Damon is lost again, this time not on Mars, and quite a few trials and tribulations to get home, between not just landing the rover, ones, but dealing with apparently magical creatures.
It's so true. I didn't even think about that because we talked about this when we did Interstellar, and we've done a few of his other films. He's always fucking lost, that guy. Maybe that's why he got chosen for this role. Even
in Bourne, he's like, who am I? It's like, this is a combination of all
mentally lost.
Yeah, he's like Calypso's made him forget. There's all sorts of parallels here. This is the culmination of his work.
So many. Here you go. I got one for you. One man spends 10 years explaining to his wife why he was late home after drinks with the boys got out of hand. it's like that. You said that meme about the Virgin Mary. Like one lie spiraled out of control and created a religion. It's the same.
Yeah, it's like I promise. The crazy part is like 7 of those years he was just with some like Greek goddess. So that's right. That's a tough look for him.
Must be nice. Yeah, terrible. So we're going to talk a lot about the direction of this film. In fact, the majority of my notes are about the direction of it. So it's obviously Chris Nolan. And at the end of this, we are going to go back and we're going to have to rank this against his other movies, which we have done every time we've done a Chris Nolan film. It's, again, one of our anthologies. Directors we love. We haven't yet got past Chris Nolan, which we will in the hundreds of years we're going to be doing this podcast. But I wanted to quickly touch on up top the sheer volume of celebrities in this film. And this was one of the things that I was really concerned about coming into this. I was concerned that this was going to be a step too far. So let me just these are just the top ones, just the very top of this. So Travis Scott, Matt Damon, Robert Pattinson, Tom Holland, Elliot Page, Anne Hathaway, John Leguizamo, Mia Goth, Ryan Hurst, Benny Safdie, Charlize Theron, whose name I can never say, Zendaya, John Bernthal. And that is just the A-list celebrities in this film. Just the A-lists. Everybody else is a fucking celebrity in this film. And I think the one thing that I was genuinely concerned about was that it was going to get distracting as we go through. But I was really pleasantly surprised watching this. Like, from the get-go, it didn't take me out of it. I think everyone was well cast, and I know it's worth initially getting into the slight controversies of this. I thought it was well cast regardless. I liked everyone in it. I thought everyone's roles were particularly well played. Like, what did you think about, the high-level controversies are predominantly the outfits, the casting, and the fact that some of the dialogue is quite Americanized. But, talking specifically about the cast and the controversy around people being cast who maybe are of different, ethnicities to what potentially they might have been in the book. What do you think?
I don't
says
really
everything. Who cares?
Feel qualified to, yeah. I don't think the casting, for the most part, took me out of the film.
Yeah.
There was definitely one where I was like,
who?
But
whom?
Elliot Page. Sinan kind of took me out. I was like, that does not even look like. I didn't even realize they were connected because of There's a point where the past character is connected to the future character, and I was like, it took me a bit of time to figure out that was even the same person, because it was like,
you had the subtitles, you would have known immediately. You'd have just seen exactly who it was. I had to struggle.
Well, I guess like point being, even with the subtitles and figuring out who Sinan was eventually, like I still struggle with it. But like, so that was like, took me out for like half a second, but his acting was quite good. Like I actually didn't mind. Yeah, I didn't mind the actual performance.
Yeah, I think that's the point I'm making. I think the performances backed up having these celebrities in it. Like everyone in it. Like, you know, Zendaya was great, who I'm famously not keen on. I think she has one acting note, and that is various stages of an angry face. But I think she was great in this, for example. You know, like Charlize Theron was well. I don't think it took me out of it. You know, I think a lot of people were. I think a lot of people were talking about this film before they'd even seen it, and I'm like, I'm sick of like clickbaity, rage baity like YouTube videos and stuff. It's like this is not appropriate, and I'm like, yeah, who fucking cares? Like, it's a fucking great film. Question for you then: what was your cinema like? So
I should preface this by like saying, like, we do a podcast on movies, and I was like, I'm not fucking doing the IMAX thing. So I didn't just like. I did not. I was like, I can't be fucking asked buying tickets like 3 months in advance, figuring out if I'm going to be there. Because there's a lot of, my schedule's complex. And then when I realized that was what was going to be necessary, I couldn't be asked to wait 3 weeks to watch it either. So I maybe will decide at some point to rewatch it in IMAX, maybe. But for this viewing and review, I watched it at the Everyman Cinema in Hampstead, as I tend to. It is our local theater. We like it.
So I was very similar. I actually tried to get IMAX tickets, but clearly tried way too late. I looked like 4 weeks before we went to see this, and it was it's so. I said this before. It's sold out for months. Like, you literally can't get a ticket here.
It's also 50 fucking pounds. Like,
it's so expensive. It's wild.
And I paid $10. For £10 for both of us. So like,
cinema tickets here are expensive. We went to the VMAX, which is like the wider screen. I think it's big. It's a big fucking screen, and it's like $35 now. It's real expensive, but the cinema was packed. Like, we booked late. I thought I'd booked tickets, and I just had, you know, when you put them in a basket, and I just hadn't finished the process like an idiot. So we were kind of to the side a little bit. It was packed, jam-packed, and I loved it. It was great seeing the cinema full again. I love that experience of, you know, everyone being there, and then you get the rustle of popcorn, and like, I love it. And especially when people are so engrossed in a film. Like, a lot of films we've seen for this podcast, or for, you know, just for my own personal, you get the dickheads who sit there on their phone through the whole film. And I'm like, why have you paid $35 to come see a film, sit on your phone? Fucking go and sit on your sofa and watch goddamn film. Watch your phone. Like, it's so unnecessary. But this, everyone was engrossed. I didn't see a single phone. And I don't know, man, maybe I'm just really hypersensitive to that. But I always notice when people get their phone out near me. And I'm like, it was so good. And it was such an experience. Like, I think we need to talk a little bit about Chris Nolan then. Like, let's do it. Let's do it up top. I think the things that I love about a Chris Nolan film, this had all of them in spades. To me, this was a real bombastic cinema experience. The whole thing, the sound design, the music, there's so much good trivia about that. Like, again, the acting I mentioned, the sets, it was just, it was amazing. Like, thoughts?
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it was, I can't come up with anything to like really criticize other than like minor like, it's long, but it's the fucking Odyssey. It's gonna be long. Man. It's the Odyssey by Christopher Nolan. Like, what are you expecting?
It's an oxymoron thing that's not going to be a long film.
Yeah, like, imagine he made like the shortest film ever, and it was this one. You'd be pissed. So, I think, and
how did you just cut it down?
Yeah, like if this one was suddenly an hour and 30, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, you'd be angry.
What have we been building to?
Yeah. So there's that. I think some of the casting stuff, I could argue like you could make that argument one way or the other, but none of the acting was bad. So like it didn't. So at the end of the day, I think he gets his say on that, and that's just opinion. Like you may have liked Helen of Troy in Troy, but go watch Troy. You know. So that's
also
one
a long
thing.
film.
Yeah, the art design and like the other complaint. I thought it was sick.
So good.
I thought it was really cool.
Good. Well, let's talk about the aesthetic a little bit. I'll come back to Chris in a minute, but like that was one of the, again, we're talking about the controversies, big quotation marks. I'm putting massive quotation marks. Controversies before the film came out. The aesthetic of it specifically, and especially things like Agamemnon's armor. I fucking loved it. Cool. It was so cool.
Yeah. I thought it was super cool. And like, I think like that's my point. You're saying like back to like that is Chris. Like that's my point. Like he always has this like aesthetic. He has the like, if everything feels physical and real, and there's no that's not missing in this film. And I think the main criticisms you get of a kind of Christopher Nolan film are like it's too convoluted of a plot for just being convoluted sake, and it doesn't nail the landing because of that. Like it distracts from it. Like that's one of the biggest criticisms I think you get. Not in this film.
The narrative's tight. Yeah, it's great.
The other one is like, hey, the character arcs are, you know, sometimes impersonal. Yeah, I think he nailed that too. I think that this is like, it helps that it's a simple concept.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think the simplicity of it is actually quite powerful in this movie.
The themes of it, 100%. I think going back to the aesthetic of the film, especially things like Agamemnon's armor and the Trojan horse, like it was a real unique take, and it sort of straddled this line of like fantasy and mythology that I really dug. Like when I first saw the trailer and the Trojan horse, I was like, the fuck is that? But then when you see the context of it and you understand what's happening, and you know, I was like, it's amazing, and it works in this world he's created. So it has like a lot of actual what we believe around, or what we know about like the Greek ways of like creating clothes and weaving and stuff like that. It is factually created the same way, but I like that he's put his own spin on it, and I think he's in like an echelon of directors that you'd use the word auteur for, I'd say. And like from like this current crop, you're looking at like Villeneuve, you're looking at Robert Eggers, maybe Yorgos Lanthimos. I don't think there's many other directors who I would trust to do this well. This is just different.
Yeah, he adds his own flavor to it for sure. And I don't think he really, I've read it multiple times. I'm familiar with the stories. Like each time a new one came, I was like, oh, I remember what the next thing that's going to happen is. And it kind of like none of those situations and none of those like they all kind of felt right from how it was in my memory. And like it all felt true to the original text in a way that was like modernized. You might say like, hey, how, you know, this was a poem. It's like the opposite of what I said in Deadwood. Like the dialogue is very much more like, you know, traditional.
That was one of the things,
modernized dialogue. That might piss some people off, and I could understand that. But like maybe that's just like not what I'd rather him do it this way and make this movie than do it that way and fucking make it and not be natural to him and him mess up. You know what I mean?
I mean, the traditional Sword and Sandals movies, right? They're, I don't know, it's all English people, or very English, darling, and you're like, that wasn't what it was like in fucking Greek times either. So none of that's right. You know what I mean? I'm like, just because that's the way it's been done in the past doesn't mean that's the way it should be done now. And I agree with you. There's a lot of things like that in this film. You know, Matt Damon, you mentioned him before. Like, did you like his performance as Odysseus?
Overall, I did. Yeah, I thought
he was great.
I think he's also like kind of the perfect age to be able to play both sides of that age gap. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's like it's hard to like imagine someone else who could do that. Part of me was imagining like a world where this gets made sooner after Troy, and whether or not, you know, in Sean Bean could have pulled off a pretty worthy performance.
I would love to have seen that. I would have loved to have seen that.
I think it would have been, but I also think that like now. This, I don't think he could have done it now, but like if this was made 10, 20 years ago.
Kind of thing. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. it's interesting to say that Chris Nolan loves like a timey-wimey, like an element to a film, and he does it in all his films where there's something weird, a time dilation, or there's pick a movie. He does it in all of them. I feel like he managed to fit that in here as well. Like it's from the story, right? Like it's two different time periods, but I like how he kind of overlapped them and built them together through other people telling the stories. I thought it was fascinating.
Agreed. And I also don't believe, I know that they tie back to what happens in the Iliad, aka Troy, the movie, and it's like tied to his character development. But they basically touched on parts of that in ways I don't think the poem does, to really make it a singular story as well. So
I think
he used time to do that well for like making it a standalone movie.
It really doing that, I felt, really helped build out the character arcs, and it made the ending of the film feel much more earned. I felt it flowed through fantastically. The thing I liked that you mentioned before was around the actual sets, and this is all shot in real locations, and I genuinely was obsessed with that. Like the dogmatic like drive for realism is so real with Chris Nolan. Like not like there's barely any CGI in this. It's phenomenal. He was shot in 6 countries. All of it was real, and I loved that. Even the cave with the Cyclops was real. I was like, holy shit, that's phenomenal. Like this giant cave that's actually linked to like the Greek stories. Like so interesting, and all the way down to things like, and I'm going to ask you the things you really liked in a minute. I think that one of the scenes, the things I loved was the Hades scenes. They were so interesting and so different. I can't think of anything like that.
I was as soon as they got to that, when they were like fire and ice, I was like, okay, they're going to Iceland. And then I saw the black sand, I knew exactly what beach they were at, because like it was the one that I didn't get to go to because it was frozen over to get to the other side for when I was visiting.
It had an interesting aesthetic though. Like it felt very
it was beautiful,
different. Like it almost felt like, what's that video game where you're the guy and you've got the baby, and it's a Hideo Kojima game. And you just walk around delivering packages. That one. It felt like that.
I forget
That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Death Stranding.
Yeah, it felt like Death in a strange way. And there's some cool trivia about that I think we'll talk about. So what did you I do want to talk about, like, I don't think this is a perfect film. I do want to talk about some things that I was like, okay, but like tell me about, like, what did you like about it? Like what were the things that dragged you in?
All the acting, like of all the acting, I thought that like the only one that left me a bit confused was some of the son mom stuff, where I was like, this is interesting. Like, I don't know if I have a critique of it other than like, I guess it makes sense that he would feel that way and she would feel that way, and that would be their interaction. I don't really have a ton to critique. It's long, but I don't think it's too long. I think this is just that kind of. I think this is just what that movie was always going to be.
Yeah. I got a question for you. So a minor critique I have, it's so minor, is that I didn't. Twofold. One, I felt it got a little bit fetch questy in the middle. I felt like it was a bit like, okay, now we go to this beach and now we go to that place, and like the places they went were great, but it did feel to me personally a little bit like that. And outside of one or two of the core boatsmen who he spent all his time with, I felt like they didn't get a lot of like development. I would have liked to have seen more. So my question to you is, could Chris have indulged himself and done the Odyssey Part 1 and the Odyssey Part 2? Could it have been 2 films?
I'd have watched.
I would have wanted. That's what I mean. Like, would you have watched 2 films? I would have wanted.
But I don't know if it would be better. I don't know if it would have been better.
The Odyssey Part 2 Boogaloo.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be
Too
better.
odd to a C.
Yeah, I don't. Too odd to a C. Streaming now. No, I don't think it would be. I don't think it would have been better. I think this was like a good. I think this was like the right length, and I think to your fetch quest point, I get it, but that's just kind of the story. You can't really change.
And totally
like,
fair.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because like if you like try and switch that up, and he does try and like change it enough, and I think for me it worked. Where it's like you're doing the time jumps and the space jumps, and like then you go and meet the Agamemnon's brother, and that like changes the tone.
Yeah.
And then you get like you're slowly revealed like more of what happened to other people that also made it back or didn't. So I thought like I think he was aware of that fetch questiness and did a pretty good job of like trying to break it up. But you're right,
Definitely.
like 3 of these things are them just approaching a random island and being like, what's gonna happen? It's probably
What's
gonna
on
be
this
bad.
one?
Yeah.
Well, and you're right. I think the non-linear narrative that he tells breaks that up in a way that makes it feel less just let's go and do this. Let's now go and see the witch, and you know what I mean. Like I think you're right. If we're talking about things that we didn't find perfect, you mentioned Tom Holland before. Should that character have been younger? Like it felt weird. Like he felt like an almost similar age to Anne Hathaway.
That's what Gail was saying, but I didn't see that.
I know he looks young. We did a Tom Holland impression last time. He looks young, Tom Holland.
You could yeah, I feel like because Tom Holland looks so baby-faced, like it worked for me.
I don't think he can pull it off anymore now. He's a 35-year-old man or some shit. Like he's not young anymore.
But he does still look like a baby. You know?
Not
And his
in this,
voice
but
is like, oh, Chipper. I don't know. He's meant to be like 18, right?
Okay. Well, the man's 30, so like I do and I don't get it. That is my one little thing that kind of took me out a little bit. I was like,
You could have, I mean, like, you didn't need to cast him. Yeah, you could have casted like a no name that was super young, that's a good actor. And that might be a fair critique.
yeah. And so one of the main plot lines of this is the sort of second plot line outside of Odysseus' story is Odysseus' home been overrun by suitors trying to marry his wife because he's been away for so long. Like when he's squaring up to Robert Pattinson, I'm standing here thinking like, bro would beat the shit out of Robert Pattinson. You know what I mean? I'm like, Pattinson might be Batman, but Spider-Man's going to kick the shit out of him.
Yeah.
You know? It didn't feel... I didn't feel like any of them were a physical... altogether for sure, but like Pattinson didn't feel like a physical threat to him, which I was like...
I don't think he's meant to feel like one-on-one a physical threat. I think it's more meant that it's like the combined weight of a bunch of different people potentially siding with you. Yeah.
Agreed.
Because they all see him as like an obstacle and they band together until
Yeah.
they don't, kind of thing.
I really like the Robert Pattinson performance. He's in a real grub era at the moment. He's really grubby and a bit grim.
Are they leaning into that, or is that just how he looks now?
Dude, big time. Have you seen his fucking haircut in Dune Part 3? He is definitely leaning into that. 100%. The other thing I was going to say to you was the sort of flip side of that question about could it be 2 films? The thing that I would love to do now is, because these Nolan movies, I feel like each one is escalating. And I'm really just not sure how much bigger and more bombastic you can go. I would love his next project to be a smaller, more contemplative, if I can say it, project.
Yeah, fuck that.
Going back to the Memento days. I'd love to see him do that again. I would. I mean, like, it's never going to happen because these films take fucking 5 years, 10 years to put together. But I'd love to see that.
Apparently he said he's taking like a 3-year break.
Yeah, good for him. Fucking deserves it.
He's like, yeah, I mean, this was a lot.
He can buy some more scarves.
Yeah, the Odyssey was always going to be a lot based off of the content. Like, it shouldn't have been easy, but he's like, I need a break. I want him to do Halo so bad.
Oh, he would do such a good Halo.
And that might be more like, less like gravitas. Like, you could just kind of feel freed a bit.
Just play around. Do some silly big things. I don't think he'll ever do another superhero movie. I feel like that's out the door. So maybe a video game movie would be the thing to do.
Middle ground. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, something different. Things I really liked. I really liked the underworld scenes. I just mentioned them before. That's fascinating because there's some great shit about that. So not only was that filmed on location in Iceland, they actually, so the shades that rise up, all the actors that come up as dead people, they were actually, that's not CGI. They were actually stuntmen who were submerged with little straws. And they actually all rose up at the same time. So they all had a handler who would check on them if they were under there for too long. I think that's fucking hilarious.
All 10,000 of them.
The sheer dedication of Chris Nolan to go that far, creating Hades, is just incredible. Like visual spectacle for the eyes. The Cyclops was great. That was depicted by means of a 6.5 meter tall anthropomorphic animatronic puppet, if I can speak. Puppetry.
It was.
Chris Nolan doing the bit.
It was
yeah,
real.
It was amazing.
I couldn't really tell. It looked. I mean, it's because of the lighting.
They did a good job with that.
It was fucking ugly.
Terrifying. And the eye sideways. I was like, oh my god, what's happening here?
Fucking wild.
Really strange. Favorite scene in the whole film was hands down the witch scene. You talked about it not being a magic world. That was my point. I was like,
no, I was saying it is a magic world. I was saying they say apparently, like at the start of the film, they say in an era where there's apparently magic, and I was like, apparently, it seems pretty clear there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's definitely gods. That was the thing, and I'd love to know your perspective on this. They didn't, so the gods were obviously core to the belief system, and and how they presented and acted in most scenarios. And the main theme of the film is that Odysseus broke one of Zeus's main laws, and he is atoning for that through the whole film. I like that they were not. I like that they were used A, sparingly, and B, weren't these all-powerful creatures when they were on screen.
Yes, and I also I loved the message and the theme. I thought it was really well done. And there's almost like that one scene at the end where, and I guess we're talking, it's not really spoilers, but like where it all comes together with like Odysseus's main point, right? Of like catharsis that he's like dealing with and accepting of like his role in all of this. Where you see the god, watching him, you see the god, the idol, the statue, and then you see who you know to be Athena through the whole movie being on her. She takes the place of one of the women being like pillaged, raped, killed in Troy, and they like cut the side by side of like the guy cutting off Athena's head, aka Zendaya's, with the idol, shot for shot.
Statue.
It really puts to point, like it drives home the point without saying it of like, whether or not the gods are powerful, clearly in this world, the gods have something to say, right? And they have an effect on the world, or at least have some kind of influence or exist in it. But what they represent matters almost as much. And if you defy that, you almost depower them, right? In a way. And like that really... I think like that Christopher Nolan always has that like Nolan thread where he just ties it in a bow, and like the bow sometimes falters, i.e. Tenet. Like the bow was tied, but it was like a really convoluted knot, and it doesn't look that pretty, right?
I'm just gonna say I do still like Tenet. Like I know it's not one of his best, but I still like that film.
But you know what I mean, though. Like the weaving and the thread at the end. It's like the bow's here, but there's a really convoluted knot here that's like kind of detracts from the beauty of the bow. I'd say Inception's one of those ones where it's like pretty tight, Prestige, and I'd argue that theme, that shot for shot, really just like nailed the landing in combination with his like monologue to Penelope. I really loved the climax of the film.
100% agree, and it's not. And going back to your God's point, it's not a like precise shot-for-shot translation of like the text. It's more like a subjective, I don't know, almost like a psychological interpretation, which is very Chris Nolan to do the psychological part.
And I think works way better for the Odyssey than it does the Iliad, because the Odyssey is dealing with like the torments of like your own demons, your own role in things, like giving up your ability to control things, where the Iliad is much more about like, and I think like you could do the same thing, but it's much more about glory and less about consequences.
Yeah, agreed. And that changed the direction of the film hugely.
Yeah, and watching this with Troy, I think they complement each other really well, because Troy doesn't actually cover.
Get over Troy.
It doesn't cover any of that, right? There's no god. They talk about them, but it's more about like, the people's interpretation of it. There's no gods. Like you don't see the gods. So I just find it a really interesting foil, these two films, and I like them both.
I agree. I like the fact that the gods were kind of present, but also it could have easily just been all in his head. You know what I mean? Like it probably was for the most part. A question I had for you, and this is, I'm going a bit on a tangent here. So if we're saying that this is, it's a modern-ish an almost psychological interpretation of the text. We did an episode on Wuthering Heights a little while ago. Why does this work and that didn't?
I don't agree with the premise because I enjoyed Wuthering Heights, but
Okay.
remember, I think we disagreed there. I don't know that like Wuthering Heights was as like I don't think it's as based in mythology and gods and fantasy stuff. So
Heady themes though.
I think it's a harder comparison. But I think the atmosphere they were going for is kind of similar at times. And frankly, I'm a sucker for that atmosphere, so I liked them both, to be honest with you.
I loved it in this. I didn't love it in Wuthering Heights. I can't even put my finger on why. They were just wet all the time.
I think there's a difference as well. Like there's just less. There's regret in that film, and there's like societal pressures that you explore. And this film has that in spades, right? Like, you know, I think it's like a less selfish debate, you know, like,
Sure.
And because of that, it's got more like weight to it and like, honor and like thinking about the decisions. Whereas like Wuthering Heights is much more of like, it feels like a selfish investigation of that. Like,
I think this did a really good job of that, you know, and I know it's really cheesy, but like the love conquers all theme. I thought it made a really like this is the first time I've ever seen that trope done in a way I liked. You know, it was interesting. I really enjoyed the journey of Odysseus back to his wife. It was great. Now, is there anything we haven't talked about that you would like to talk about?
yeah, we didn't really talk about like John Bernthal and the stuff around Agamemnon as much. And yeah. I thought that was also super interesting because like this is a movie about consequences, and you see how they proliferate across a bunch of different characters and their decisions, which I really, really liked. And I think one thing I thought I was going to miss, but didn't, was like Achilles is mentioned once. He's not even in the movie. Right? There's no casting for Achilles, and I think that's pretty cool.
There was a lot of rumors beforehand that Elliot Page's character was going to be Achilles.
That might have been a bit
neither here nor there, but it was
that might have been a bit of a controversy.
Yeah, I didn't care either way. Like, that was an interesting character because it was more of like a.
I'm glad it wasn't that, because that would have detracted from his getting his dues for the performance he had, because that I would argue that is a bad casting then.
It's Brad Pitt. It's always Brad Pitt. We should have brought Brad Pitt back and had him play that character.
My point is I'm glad he wasn't in it.
I agree. Speaking of, and you know, like that leads into action a little bit. I was mentioned it before. I thought the action was phenomenally shot. So especially the sacking of Troy. So one of the things this film does is it keeps cutting back to the sacking of Troy, which I really liked. And you effectively progressively build up to the point through his memories and him being with Charlize Theron's character, Calypso. That's right. I nearly said something very different then. I was like, that's a different mythology. No, I was gonna say Cleopatra. I'm like, that's a different time period.
And Chalupa.
But like the when you finally get to the actual sacking of Troy, and you know he does a shot where he's looking down on the city and you see the fires like spreading, and I was like, fuck, that's so cool. It's so different to anything I'd seen before. And you're not in the action, you're not physically like in watching people set things on fire, but you and the sound design, which is something that I don't know if I've said enough about, but it's phenomenal. It's overwhelming you at that point, and you're sitting there being like, holy hell, like I don't need to see them sacking the city. This just looks terrifying.
Yeah, and the line of like 10 years of rage like poured into the city at once. It's just like, not only do you feel it, see it, you hear it. I also thought one part of the sound design that was fucking epic was when the Cyclops loses his eye.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
Remember how loud and crazy that was?
Roar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unreal. And the sound design for the ocean as well. Like it was just so well put together. Like, and that was one of the things we talked about. This one of the things I was minorly concerned about with our cinema, because it was kind of tinny before the film, but this is so much better than any of the recent Nolan films. I mean, I'm specifically talking about Tenet. It was mixed really well, and it worked so fantastically. I can't think of a bit that I was not sure about.
Yeah, the final thing I'd say is like I really didn't. They played with the idea of like Odysseus's journey not only being, I think there's like two parts to it. There's accepting what he did and acknowledging it and understanding its implication and the consequences. And then there's also this like idea of humbling oneself, right? To like the will of the gods, the will of life, like the will of just like you cannot control everything. Mr. Man of Logic. Everyone talks about how smart he is, smarty pants. And I like how they played on that with like his crew and how his decisions at first, how they changed throughout, and how so much more of those were accepting his role in the world. But kind of the damage had been done, right? And the crew is like arguing with him constantly, and like you feel the tensions build. I thought that was another kind of really cool part. Yeah,
I think it does subtlety a lot better than some Chris Nolan films. I think that's probably the thing I'd call out in terms of the broader cast for sure. All right, quickly then, can you guess for me the current IMDb score for this?
Probably a lot of people are like, "This is not the poem." I have to give it like a 8.3. I think it's higher, but I think that's pretty.
It was so close. You nearly said 8.4. It's 8.4. You were like,
really? I'm happy. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong if it's higher.
It's 8.4. I get it. I absolutely get it. Can you guess me the Rotten Tomatoes score then?
95.
It's exactly 95. It's getting just like such high praise. I reckon this is going to win a lot when it comes to like awards.
Has he won a Best Director yet?
I don't know if he has.
Because his things are always too cool.
If he does, it's a Lifetime Achievement Award. Can you guess the Letterboxd score for them, which is always 3.5, but 3.6, but never 3.6?
4. 2.
4.3. So that's high.
Yeah.
That's like one of the higher ones we've ever had, I think, on this podcast. I think 4.5 is maybe the highest we've ever had. I'm probably forgetting something, but that's phenomenal.
It's a good one.
Phenomenal scoring.
Totally.
So I saw this opening night. I was really excited. I was playing my excitement down as well a bit though, because I'd heard a few less than positive review things or seen headlines, but I was so happy to be like proven wrong. And I don't think we even need to ask, is it better or worse than Aquaman 2018? Right?
No. I mean, it's a stupid question.
It's fucking stupid. All right, do your one spoiler then. What's your one spoiler?
Odysseus basically takes exile as his punishment for essentially what he's done, which is both punish the suitors for their treatment of Ithaca, but also I think punish himself for like, I am not, I made a critical error in breaking Zeus's rule, Zeus's law or whatever it was, in inviting the Trojan, into their home. Like obviously you could argue it's like in times of war, it's a city, not a home, but like philosophically he knows the truth, like in his heart. And he comes to grips with that as like exiling himself with his wife, and Telemachus becomes, or Telemachus,
whatever. Tom Holland, little Tom Holland. That line you mentioned before about the 10 years of rage entering the city is kind of like emblematic of that. That it's his idea for the horse, right? And I remember Sean Bean saying it in in Troy. Why do we keep coming back to Troy? And it's his idea.
Underrated movie.
He feels he needs to punish himself, which is so interesting. And I actually prefer this ending because thematically I think it works better.
I don't mind this choice. Now, the people from the sea thing is like also interesting as an idea. Like, I don't know how based in history that is, but I do like, again, it's like such a good theme. And it's like, we kind of align to the idea of it, like as a Western civilization. So why not?
I'm forgetting right now, but there's a bunch of history whereby we're unsure why. I think is it the Bronze Age? There's one of the ages which ends and we're a bit like, why did that end so abruptly? And we think it's because people had just advanced and this seafaring people may have been the ones who came and just wiped out these civilizations. I love that Chris Nolan can pick a thing like that and just work it in as like a fable almost.
I think it's also like a mythical story, so it's like totally okay to like say like whether or not the root of this whole thing was because of some guest right being violated. It's kind of irrelevant.
Let me ask you then, DL. Would you like this week's whimsical version of Trivia True or False?
Whimsical is the best kind. Let's do it.
It is very whimsical because there is a lot of whimsicalness in this film. DL, Trivia True, Trivia False for the Odyssey. Anne Hathaway underwent weeks of weaving lessons with a specialist in Northern California who taught her how to use ancient looms for her scenes where she's looming about. Is that true or is that false?
Looming about. I'm going to say true. Weeks seems like a long time, though, to be honest.
It is true. She progressed from a simple starter loom to a much larger one, specifically so she could convincingly portray Penelope's famous weaving in the film. It's fascinating and very whimsical, isn't that?
Yes,
isn't it whimsical?
Yes.
Slightly less whimsical, but whimsy if you think about it in terms of the sets. At least 3 IMAX cameras were destroyed on set by Chris Nolan. Is that true or is that false?
Destroyed.
Broken. Destroyed.
Sure. They traveled around. Maybe something got dropped. Sure. True.
This is the one I made up this time, big guy. So no IMAX cameras were actually harmed during the process of the film, said Chris Nolan. He tried not to destroy them because throughout his career, he believes he's destroyed at least 3 throughout his career, but they cost $500,000 each.
Oh,
so
well,
I think he's probably
fair enough.
Yeah, I think he's probably been told at this point. It's a bit like, come on, dude. Pretty fucking expensive. Trivia True False then. Matt Damon, a whimsical one, a whimsical Trivia False video. Matt Damon grew a real beard for playing Odysseus. Is that true or is that false?
He may have grew a real beard, but I think that is not all him. At the end, I'm going to say false.
It is actually true, and it was at the request of Sir Christopher Nolan. Sir Christopher Chris Nolan? I don't know why I've written that down. Sir Chris Nolan, who wanted facial hair on Damon's face that could withstand wind and water. So whimsical of him. Why is he
wind and water?
Why does he need a real beard? That's so ridiculous.
I guess the adhesive would come off.
Most likely. It wasn't. It was a bit like mine. It was a very patchy beard. Like, it didn't have a great side. It was like solid here.
It was really long here, though.
Well. Yeah, not a lot here, though. Not a lot going on the sides. I feel like he could have done better there. Okay, finally then. Trivia True False DL. Whimsical variety. When Odysseus and his men first set sail for Troy, dolphins can be seen swimming on the side. And the trivia is that this was not actually planned, but a happy coincidence. Is that true or is that false?
True.
It is true. How nice. Dolphins just popped up to say hi to Christopher Nolan. I can't speak all of a sudden. They do. And they wanted to be on film. They wanted to be on a new film. They wanted to be in the new Chris Nolan film along with every celebrity out there. Look, ultimately, dude, I'm actually really glad I went in with slightly tapered expectations, but it blew them all away. Absolutely blew them away.
Yeah.
Do you want to very quickly, before we wrap up, rank the Chris Nolan films that we've talked about? Because we do it every time. I feel like we should.
And I feel like it changes every time, which I guess
it changes every time, which I like.
It should only change when there's like a new one, theoretically. But anyway,
let me take you through the ones we've already done.
Go ahead.
So we've talked about, and in no order here, I'm going to throw them out of order so that so that you don't know. So we have talked about, obviously we did Interstellar last time, did we not? For the second time. So technically we've done Interstellar twice. We've done Interstellar, we've done Dunkirk, we've done Batman Begins, we've done The Prestige, we've done The Dark Knight, we've done Inception, we've done Memento, we've done Oppenheimer, and we've done Tenet.
Correct.
What is your ranking of those films?
This is going to be controversial, I think.
Controversial. I'm down. Hit me with the controversial one.
Inception still ranks at the top.
Okay.
I'm going to say the... This is tough. I do. And I think it's like his best.
This
is so hard. Like 2, 3, and 4 are so hard for me now. Because it's almost like recency biased.
So would you... I see. But would you say this then sits within your top 3 of his movies?
I think it might. Oh,
I had this conversation today. I think so too.
It might be in the bubble. It might be in. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say. Fuck. I don't know. I guess I have to say The Dark Knight. If I really am honest, should be should be second, and then I'm gonna say the Odyssey, and then I'm gonna say The Prestige, and then from there it kind of all falls off for me. To be honest, though, The Prestige or Interstellar, you could switch them. Interstellar's next, and then from there, I think like Batman Begins. The rest of them, Memento, Tenet's last. What am I missing? Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer's somewhere in there. I didn't actually love Oppenheimer. It's probably towards the back half.
No, I love that it's his take on it, but it's it's not my favorite of his films.
The back half is super boring.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think we need to agree on a ranking. So like this is how I ranked them last time, but we can move these around. So like Inception 1, The Dark Knight. I then said Memento because I do love that film. Batman Begins, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Prestige, Oppenheimer, Tenet. That middle section's tough. I agree with you. I do think this might be my third on that list, though. Okay, we'd have to agree on all of them, but I think the top three we should at least agree on, and that Tenet's the worst one.
Interstellar. I think Inception, The Dark Knight, and this in some version of the top three are fair. It's a hard fourth for me. Like I could hear the argument for people saying Interstellar or The Prestige being in or out of there, but I think those are my five. I like The Prestige more than other people maybe, but I do like it. I think it's a good movie.
I genuinely really like Dunkirk. I could hear the argument for that too. I do have Memento in fourth. I just think I would love to see him do another small scale movie. I think I talked about that before. I think that's why I like it so much. It's so different to everything else on that list. It's so different. I think that's why I like it in my fourth place. So I'm going to keep the rest the same. For me, it's Inception, The Dark Knight, The Odyssey, Memento, Batman Begins, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Prestige, Oppenheimer, Tenet. And he's done other ones. We'll have to get to the other ones soon as well.
Pretty cool for him that he arguably has made a top 2 movie performance this late in his career for him, given like as cool and as amazing as The Dark Knight is, which it is. So a lot of that is Heath Ledger. You know what I mean? Like if you
huge amount.
Like if you like kind of try and optimize for his contribution to like what made it great, this is probably higher than The Dark Knight in some ways.
So are you saying that the cast is around the main actors is better in the Odyssey? That's why?
I'm simply saying by sheer force of will, Christopher Nolan has made the Odyssey something that's like way harder to make consumable, like into something really awesome and consumable. And, superhero movies, they're a dime a dozen. Like, I'm not saying, obviously his take on it was very different and good. I'm just saying that's a lot probably easier of a mass audience appeal thing. Like, this is a bigger accomplishment to make this potentially be one of his top 2 movies than maybe The Dark Knight. If you actually just look at his contribution.
He's the best for me of this generation. Honestly, man, like, I don't know. Like, I'd probably say Tarantino's a little bit older. I'd say he's probably the next generation. He's the best dude. Like, the only one who comes close to him of the sort of this generation for me is Villeneuve, and I don't think he's done enough yet to prove that he's on the same level.
He's proved he's got the chops, but like
big time, agreed. But he's not done right. It's over your full career. And what's Nolan got, like 10, 15 movies under his belt now? Like, Villeneuve's got like 6 or 7. Give him 5 more films. We'll come back to it. DL, I appreciate you, man. We are gonna have to wrap up the show. Do you wanna just do that little wrap up bit?
Yeah, thank you. Give us a 5-star review. Check us out on the socials, the emails, the the Instagrams, all that stuff.
TikToks.
Thank you for editing and recording this week's mastering this week's episode. Avery Ramshot, She's the best. Check her out online.
Hey, if you want to look good, you want to sound good, she got your back.
Help yourself.
Cut out a bunch of this crap we've been rambling about, probably because we've been talking for so long. This is a long episode. We haven't done this in a while. Love it. DL, appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, you too, brother. long day of work
Tally
ahead of
ho.
us. Enjoy your sleep and tally ho. Toodaloo.